escrow panel from Moy Escrow, Alba Moy. From Champion Escrow, Jacqueline Chow. We have from Culture Escrow, Wendy Hui. And also we have Victor Wu from Bank of America, and their topic is going to be the affiliate panel discussion. At this moment, if I can...
Can I borrow your hat? No. Good morning, everyone. Victor Wu here from Bank of America. It's a pleasure to introduce you to panelists today. We have three discussion panelists from the escrow field. All three of them has been in the business for a long time. Without further delay.
See better without my glasses. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is very an honor for me to be able to speak in front of you. So if I do speak a little fast, just slow me down because sometimes I do talk fast. I'm going to talk about helpful tips on closing short sales, trust deeds, taxes, delinquencies, liens, and judgments against the property. A preliminary title report will provide the most accurate and up-to-date information available. This information is of utmost importance when determining how to obtain releases that are necessary to complete the short sale. Letter of authorization. Securing this form from the seller allows the lender to speak with you, your escrow officer and assistants, about the short sale negotiation. Estimated settlement statement HUD. Prepared by a closing officer, this document shows the disposition of funds in the short sale closing. It is often revised several times during negotiations, and accuracy is critical to avoid delays. Approval letters. These documents spell out the conditions under which a lender will agree to the short sale. Many have very sensitive timelines and conditions that are critical to the closing process. Expiration of approval letters and other escrow timelines. Generally, approval letters expire within 30 to 45 days. Remember, short sale negotiations do not stop the foreclosure process. If an extension is required, request the extension from the lender with adequate time, not on the date of expiration. The lender may charge a per diem for the extension period. Once you receive your short sale loan approval letter, you need to read it with a magnifying glass very carefully. Read the terms and conditions carefully. Know the expiration date. Get everything in writing. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Don't assume that the terms of the approval are the same as what was submitted to the lender originally. Changes in allowable cost, commission, and/or seller repayment options. The total number of loans on the house can be from multiple lenders. A short sale approval must be received from each lender. If there are two loans, a first and a second, if both loans are for the same lender, need two approval letters or one approval letter referencing both loan numbers. If loans are with different lenders, two approval letters are required. In most cases, the seller's lender states specifically in their approval letter that an estimated HUD-1 must be submitted for approval within 5 business days prior to closing. The title company will require the approved HUD prior to recording. The lender will require the following to be submitted with short sale payoffs. Assignment of unearned premium refund signed by the seller, arm's length transaction signed by all parties, seller, buyer, listing and selling agents. This form must be notarized. Short sale agreement approved by the seller, a final HUD-1, and the wire confirmation of payoffs. In a short sale transaction, undisclosed payments, particularly those paid outside of escrow, may constitute illegal activity under RESPA. That's the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, licensing, and/or loan fraud laws. An agent's participation in any scheme could be subject to license revocation by the Department of Real Estate or other disciplinary action. The seller cannot receive any funds from the sale. The seller can receive relocation costs if approved by the lender on short sale approval letter agreement. Refer all tax and credit consequences questions from the seller to a professional that can provide answers to the concerns specific to their situation. Always advise your seller to seek professional counsel for any tax and/or legal questions. No two short sales are exactly alike, just like every escrow is not exactly the same. Communication with all parties, seller, buyer, agents, and keeping everyone informed is very important during the lender short sale process in these confusing and financially challenging times. Thank you.
As you know, many times people mistaken us, escrow officers, for lawyers, accountants, and even referees. And I bet you all know we are none of the above. We are simply a neutral third party who serves to take instructions from the principal parties involved. That's all we do, take instructions. We don't give out legal advice, we don't give out tax advice, and we don't break up fights. As an escrow officer, you can imagine, we encounter many different unique problems throughout the escrow process. Often, people feel that things escrow officers ask for are not critical to the transaction. But in actuality, we have many legitimate reasons to ask for them. And you and I, we all know that all these regulations and all these policies we do need to abide to. And most of these are designed to protect the public. Now coming up, I will have some true and false questions for you. And I can tell you that all the answers to them are false. They are what I call escrow myths. Now, true or false? I can bring a personal check to escrow one day before closing. False, right? The California Good Funds Law, Section 12413.1 of the California Insurance Code requires that an escrow company has in its possession sufficient good funds in order to close a transaction. The key word here is good funds. First of all, we need to understand that when you are given a check, you don't have the funds until you have deposited the check and your bank has collected the funds, even if it's a cashier's check. An escrow company actually runs into many risks when we accept checks into escrow, even for cashier's checks. Many things can go wrong. NSF, stop payments, unauthorized signatures, and even in some bad cases, stolen checks. Yeah. Many people think tendering a cashier's check is like giving cash on the spot, but in fact, it is not true. The funds for a cashier's check still needs to be collected. And to complicate things, there is no set number of days for the check clearing process. It can be as quick as 48 hours, or it can take up to 2 weeks. And these days, with the Privacy Act, the banks are unable to provide any clearance verification. So to help avoid delays at this important time in your closing, your escrow officer will request that your buyer wire in the closing funds. If you have any reason to believe your client cannot do that, please discuss the problem with your escrow officer as early as possible. While I'm on the subject of depositing funds, I have another question for you. True or false? Anyone can deposit funds into escrow for closing. False. Yeah. Why? Because escrow law specifies that we can only close on authorized funds. Any closing done on funds deposited into escrow by a third party without the authorization from the third party and the acknowledgement and acceptance from our principal party is considered to be a forced closing, which means you have forced the escrow to close without authorization. Therefore, your escrow officer, whenever receiving in a third-party check, will require a third-party deposit instructions to be signed. I have parties who don't understand this requirement, so I thought I'd share that with you. I have another one for you, and it's on new construction. True or false? False. You guys haven't heard the question. Should I even read it now? The closing process for a brand new home is done the same way as a resale. false, right?